Welcome to the deep dive. We dig into the sources to pull out the most interesting insights for you. Today, we're taking a really close look at an ancient, fascinating story. It comes from a source known as the Genesis 20 post, and it's all about Abraham and a king named Abimelech. So our mission here is to unpack this account. We want to uncover some frankly surprising details, try to understand what motivated these characters, and really grasp the consequences, which you'll see are pretty significant and maybe not what you'd expect. It's a story involving deception, divine intervention, some real twists. Okay, let's dive in. Let's set the scene first. We have Abraham traveling around. He's in the Negev region, between Kadesh and Shur. And then he spends some time in Gerar. Now, while he's there in Gerar, Abraham does something, well, pretty startling. He tells Abimelech, the king of Gerar, that Sarah, his wife, is actually his sister.
Right.
And Abimelech, hearing this, well, he sends for Sarah and takes her into his household. It's a bold move from Abraham, isn't it? What's your first take on that?
It is absolutely striking, especially given Abraham's status, And what's really fascinating here is how quickly things escalate, divinely speaking. Before anything else happens, before Abimelech even goes near Sarah, God appears to him.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, in a dream. And the message is incredibly direct. Basically, you are as good as dead because of the woman you have taken. She is a married woman.
Yikes. So how does Abimelech react to that?
Well, understandably, he immediately defends himself. He tells God, hey, wait, I haven't gone near her. And he explains, Abraham told me she is my sister, and Sarah even confirmed it. He is my brother. Abimelech insists he acted totally innocently, with a clear conscience and clean hands, is how the text puts it.
Okay, and God's response to this defense, this is where it gets really interesting.
It really is. God actually acknowledges Abimelech's innocence in the matter. He says, yes, I know you did this with a clear conscience, and so I have kept you from sinning against me. That is why I did not let you touch her.
So God himself intervened to prevent the transgression, even though Abimelech didn't know.
Exactly. It shows God wasn't just protecting Sarah, but also protecting Abimelech from committing a grave sin unknowingly. It suggests a kind of broader divine concern for moral integrity.
That's a critical point. So God accepts Abimelech's plea, acknowledges his clear conscience. What instructions come next?
The instructions are very clear. God tells Abimelech, return the woman. And he adds that Abraham is a prophet. Abraham will pray for Abimelech and he will live.
A prophet, even after the deception?
Even after the deception. That's what God says. But there's also a severe warning attached.
Okay.
If Abimelech doesn't return Sarah, he and his entire household, everyone connected to him, will die. Period. It's a life or death situation for the whole kingdom, essentially.
So faced with this divine ultimatum, Abimelech must have acted pretty quickly the next day.
Oh, immediately. First thing in the morning, the text says he calls all his officials together, tells them exactly what happened in the dream, and their reaction, they're very much afraid. You can imagine.
I bet. And then
Abimelech confronts Abraham directly, and he doesn't mince words. He asks, what have you done to us? How have I wronged you that you've brought this great guilt upon me and my kingdom? He even says, you have done things to me that should never be done. And then he demands to know why. What were you thinking, basically?
the big question, so what was Abraham thinking? How does he explain this deception?
It's quite revealing. Abraham says, I said to myself, there is surely no fear of God in this place, and they will kill me because of my wife.
So it came down to fear. Fear for his own life.
Apparently so. A lack of trust, perhaps, that he'd be safe, or that God would protect him and Sarah in that specific place. He assumed the worst of the locals.
And then there's that other layer, the partial truth. He wasn't entirely lying, was he?
No, and he admits it. He tells Abimelech, besides, she really is my sister, the daughter of my father, though not of my mother, so his half-sister.
Okay, so technically true, but still deceptive in context.
Highly deceptive. And then he reveals something even more astonishing. This wasn't a one-time panic. This was their standard operating procedure.
You're kidding.
Nope. Abraham explains that way back when God had them leave his father's home and start wandering, he made a pact with Sarah. He told her, this is how you can show your love to me. Everywhere we go, say of me, he is my brother.
Wow. So this lie or half-truth was their go-to strategy all along. You have to wonder how Sarah felt about that arrangement over the years.
It certainly adds complexity, doesn't it? So picture Abimelech hearing all this.
Yeah.
He was nearly killed, his household threatened, all because of Abraham's fear and this long-standing deception.
Ciao.
How does he respond now?
His response is, again, quite remarkable, almost counterintuitive maybe.
How so?
He's incredibly generous. He gives Abraham gifts, sheep, cattle, male and female slaves.
Okay.
And crucially, he returns Sarah to him. Then he goes further.
Right. He tells Abraham, my land is before you. Live wherever you like. Basically gives him free reign.
That's amazing generosity, considering Abimelech was the one wronged here. Why do you think he does that? Is it just relief or something more?
It seems like a genuine effort to completely clear the slate, perhaps demonstrate his own righteousness after being vindicated by God. And he does something specifically for Sarah, too.
Ah, yes, the parent.
Exactly. He gives Abraham, for Sarah, 1,000 shekels of silver. And he explicitly states the purpose. He says it's to cover the offense against you before all who are with you, you are completely vindicated. It's a public act to restore her honor fully.
So full restoration, gifts, land access, and then the final piece, the divine consequence.
That gets resolved too. Abraham, the prophet, prays to God, and God heals Abimelech, his wife, and his female slaves, allowing them to have children again.
Because the text says God had specifically stopped them from conceiving.
Because of Abraham's wife, Sarah. Yes, that was the direct consequence God had imposed earlier. So Abraham's prayer lifts that specific judgment.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, let's pull out the main threads for you, the listener. We've seen Abraham, a major figure, acting out of, well, fear, leading to deception, complex motivations there.
Definitely. And we saw God's very direct intervention, interestingly, not just to save Sarah, but also to actively prevent Abimelech, an outsider, from sinning unintentionally.
Right, protecting his clear conscience. And then there's Abimelech himself, the wronged party, who ends up being incredibly gracious and, in a way, vindicated.
Yes. It really makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
About how fear operates, the ripple effects of deception.
Yeah.
But also about divine justice and maybe healing and how they can show up in really unexpected ways, even when the situation is morally, let's say, gray. It challenges easy categories of good guys and bad guys.
Absolutely. And maybe one final thought for you to chew on. Despite everything, the fear, the lie, the trouble caused, God still calls Abraham a prophet. And it's his prayer that brings healing to the very household his actions endangered. What might that tell us about?
Well, about the complexity of people, maybe about divine purpose, or how flawed actions and good outcomes can sometimes exist side by side in these narratives, something to ponder.